Cyril, what a beauty! Hawthorne.
I don't believe it! I see it, but I don't believe it! Claus with a capital C! How did he do it?
Clearbury Eustace! Oh my goodness! Is this one to remember?
G'day community and welcome to the Jock Reynolds Supercoach podcast. I am Lekdog and I'm joined by two of the best in the business. The first is a man wearing either a very nice blanket or a snuggie. It's hard to tell. Patch, how are you?
I'm warm, Lekdog. I am warm.
Warm is good.
Yeah, it's good at this time of year. In this economy, I'll take warm. I will take warm. How are you, my beautiful, beautiful friend?
Alive and well. Asterix. Alive. Now, Damo, also on the pod, another beautiful human. WA life. How's it treating you, beautiful?
Yeah, it's all right. It's almost as cold as Melbourne over here at the moment.
I find that very hard to believe.
Damo is also wearing something that's impressive, potentially more impressive than what I'm wearing, being a blanket. Damo, do you want to enlighten the community who are listening to this on an audio platform as to what your visual appearance entails this evening?
I'm wearing the Fast Freddy shirt from the Carlton Draft website. So it's Michael Frederick with flames coming with flames under his feet.
Because he's very fast.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're cooking with gas. It's very good. Very, very good.
Well, today's podcast, gentlemen, is once again brought to you by Manscaped. Shout out to everyone who is signing up for Manscaped using code #Jock, not #Jock, code Jock, Jock, because it's getting them on board and keeping them on board, which is really good because it means we can do things like party, have a website, drink alcohol, all those things are great. Hey, you. Yeah, you got bush?
Me?
You definitely do if you haven't tried the best products from our sponsor today, Manscaped. Taking control of your bush is important. These products are so good, you're going to be showing pride in your new bush-free yard. I know Patch is doing that right now on camera. It's a fact that you will have the best kept nutsack on the cul-de-sac, which I believe is an American term for a court, but it does not rhyme with nutsack. Save big and be the most hygienic version of yourself by using our discount code JOCK, Jock, for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com.
Yeah, the boxes they send us as well. God, they're good.
Well,
God,
if you want a pair, if you order the performance package, you get 2 free gifts, Patch, and this is what they sent us. The Shed Travel Bag, which is a bag to put all your goodies in, and the patented high-performance reducing chafing Manscaped boxes, which you have been loving.
Oh my God, yes. I've never known such comfort in that general department ever, and it's quite good. Quite good.
So for anyone listening at home, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use our code JOCK, Jock. It's time to level up from the Amazon to the Amadong with the ultimate bushwhacking tools from Manscaped. They put the Jock in Jocks. Let's talk Supercoach, Damo. We're going to start with our good things of the week. And Damo, you're going to go first with your good Supercoach thing of the week.
Do I have to?
Yes, Damo. Bring some joy to the people at home.
Well, I like that Jared Witt scored over 100 again. He's had some trouble doing that in recent weeks.
Does that correlate with you bringing him into your team at all?
I brought him in a few weeks ago, but yeah, kind of.
Well, that's all right. Jared Witt's back in form, 117 on the weekend, averaging 114 for the year. That's good. That's a good thing. Patch, what's your good thing?
Hello. Zach Merritt scoring lots of points is always nice to see. Zach Merritt's scoring points in an Essendon win. Great to see. We've only played the 4 games this year, and Merritt scored points in all of them, which exceptional stuff. The rest of the points are all just kind of made up and random number generator for the week's Essendon's, obviously, on the bye or having practice matches or whatever it is. But no, it's nice to see him score points in a good actual game of football, playing back to back. Good stuff. Well done all around to all involved. I won't be taking further questions at this time.
My good thing for the week is a guy who over the last few weeks has been the number 1 ranked AFL ratings player in the comp, and that is Connor Rosey, a player I bought in as a loophole option for like 320 grand or however much it was when I bought him in. Scored 154 on the weekend. This is not what I expected when I kept Rosey. I've almost traded him out a number of times. 154 points, 24 disposals, 4 goals. Obviously not something he's going to continue, but over the last sort of 6 weeks has averaged north of 100, which has been a miraculous win in what is an otherwise disastrous series of pod trades on my behalf.
Dare I say it, in this economy, a 156 in this economy, in your economy, we love that. We also love seeing him number 1, where he should have been taken ahead of Sam Walsh.
All right. Well, you're not on the rest of the podcast. Damo, the yin or the yang to the yin to the yang. We have a good thing. We must have a bad thing. What is your bad thing?
I haven't got many trades left, and Toby Nankervis is nursing a potential PCL injury, meaning I may have to use my final trade or trades to get rid of him, but I'm just reading that he's not actually ruled out yet of this weekend. So fingers crossed he can show up and at least be alive on the field for me this weekend.
That's a reasonably bad thing, but hopefully it doesn't end that way. Patch, do you have a bad thing to talk about?
Me. I'm the bad thing this week, Lekdog, because I forgot how loopholing works, because I'm a silly Billy, aren't I? I had Tom Hawkins and Luke Jackson sitting there, and I'm like, Geelong play Melbourne on the old Thursday night. Guess I can't loop him. Chuck Tom Hawkins on field, and then realised, I had Zach Butters sitting on my mid bench, and could have just swung Jackson into the rucks and just looped Hawkins and Butters, but no, I forgot that, and Tom Hawkins was on the field, Butters was on the bench. Could have scored myself another 20 points, but it's just that. That was the only negative this week. There are no other negative things at all. None that I can think of. Nope. Moving along.
That's not too bad. That's very interesting. I guess my bad thing, I don't want to single out a couple of forwards who scored terribly, Jade Gresham, Josh Dunkley. So I've been loopholing Dacos, Jaden Short, and Patrick Cripps, and I just cannot nail the right ones on field. It's only a couple of points, but I hate that I have to now worry about Patrick Cripps. His 92 was 3 less than Jaden Short, who's been terrible the last month. And Dacos of the 3 is the most reliable one, and it really upsets me. And the worrying thing is that Patrick Cripps scored about 45 of those points in the last quarter of that game. So some alarm bells are ringing there for a man who I never really wanted in my Supercoach team.
No,
anyway,
not ideal, but
I would like to talk, gentlemen. The first thing I'd like to talk about is trades.
No. Moving right along.
Well, I just wanted to go over how many trades we should have for the run home quickly. We don't need to. Well, a guy like Clayton Oliver broke his thumb on the weekend, Damo. Presumably, we're going to have to trade someone like a Clayton Oliver.
Well, you think so, but he's a test to play this week, and he reckons he's playing. Fractured thumb, not a broken thumb, which is better.
They're the same thing.
Well, apparently not, because they're talking about his thumb being fractured, and Ivan Soldo and Peter Laddams having broken thumbs.
Yeah, the vibes are completely different, Lekdog. I'm a doctor. The vibes, they're right off with broken. Yeah. Fractured, they're fine.
So how long what do we have, 7 weeks left of Supercoach, or is it 6? Let's count it. 18, 19,
7.
20, 21, 22, 23. Is that 6 or 7? Somebody count. Somebody help me.
6. I can't count.
6 games left. So how many games would a player have to be missing to warrant a trade? Let's say Oliver's 1 week. I know they've said he's a test. Daniel Rich was 1 week last week. I held him, but I was tempted to trade him.
No, 1 week is a hold if you have cover.
Any more than 2, and you got to trade them.
What if it is 2 at this point in the season?
Sorry, 2 or more, and you trade them.
I agree.
2 depends on how many trades you've got left.
Well, I mean, look, for instance, I feel a little underprepared. I've got 5 trades left for the run home, which isn't heaps, but it was enough to make me keep Daniel Rich last week. Damo, I know you've struggled with injuries a bit, so you don't have that many left.
No, I've only got 2 left. Potentially only 1 left if Toby Nankervis doesn't get up. It's been a struggle. I got to round 13 and I had double-figure trades left, and then I've just been hit with injury after injury after injury, and now it's just painful.
Well, look, injuries, I understand injuries. They force trades. You can't really help it. It's not like, if you were sitting there with like 5 or 4 trades in a round, you wouldn't make any luxury trades. It's injuries only from this point. You reckon, Patch?
No comment, Lekdog.
Patch, I'm interested. You're a bit cagey, but you did score very well this week. You scored very well.
I did. Well, I added 7 points to my team this week.
Oh, yeah, go on. Did you loophole or how did you?
Yeah, I kind of loopholed. I loopholed Stephen May and Jack Sinclair into my side, and loopholed Jaden Short and Jordan Ridley out of my side.
Right, because Stephen May scored 2 points more than Jaden Short, so that's good.
Yeah, that's what we're chalking it up as a win.
And what did you say? How Sinclair scored how many more than Ridley?
Sinclair scored 110, which is good.
Yes.
It's a good,
that's
big,
really good,
sizable, chonky number. And Jordan Ridley scored 103.
Interesting. I have follow-up questions, Patch.
Yes. Hello.
How many trades did you have heading into the round prior to luxury trading 2 premiums out of your team for 2 1 premium and Stephen May?
4? It was about that. the numbers are it's a bit hazy. Think it was 4.
So Damo, this seems like
5.
a bold strategy to me, but it did net him 7 points. So Damo, I would ask you: is 50% of your remaining trades worth 7 points?
Probably not. You'd have to need a significant points boost to be that desperate.
Well,
Hey.
or competing for like the top prize, which, Patch, I'm assuming you're ranked 2nd right now.
Yeah, about that. Not too far off 2nd.
What happened, you big idiot goose?
I was mucking around with my trades on a Monday and then was like, okay, I'll reverse them. And then forgot to actually hit the reverse button. I looked at the big screen. It's like, here's all the 37 changes you made to your team this week. And then closed the tab and then got to Thursday night and opened up the Supercoach thing. And I'm like, oh, I made those trades. Better reverse that. Oh, it's 723. Oh, and I couldn't reverse them. So I just kind of kept them. And look, I'm human, community. We all make mistakes. We all goof a little. But also Damo said probably not, which was not an emphatic no, Patch, you big dumb idiot. So I'm chalking this up as an absolute win.
You're telling me there's a chance. Well, that's good. That's good humor for those at home. Between us, we have 9 trades. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's 3 each. We've all got 3
On
trades
average,
each.
that's 3 each.
Well done, Damo. We've just gained a trade each.
I love it.
Yes. The lesson out of this is don't be a big old dumb idiot. Don't do trades unless you gotta.
Let's chat. I guess the thing people are going to want to we sort of covered it last week, that if you've got an excess of trades, guys like Jaden Short, Patrick Cripps, that ilk of player, the way they're scoring at the moment, hell, at this stage, I'll throw Jack McRae in there. If you've got a bulk of trades and you want to trade, do it. Just do it. Go on, Patch.
Hello? What if you don't have a bulk of trades? Can you still do it?
No, don't do it. In that instance, Patch, you would not do it.
Oh,
So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at some players that can bring you home. If you want to move a Cripps or a Short, we're going to look at some players that can help you get some wins in finals and or increase your rank. The first one, gentlemen, I want to just touch on is Callum Mills, who's bounced back with a 138 on the weekend. And his price actually dropped by 15k, so 575k, less than 20% of teams. He's a very intriguing and attractive choice if you're looking for someone in the mid that's not in every single team.
well, Damo, you've got him. What do you think?
He's been frustrating to own, but when he goes big, and he seems to rack up points through things that aren't disposals. So he will tackle, he will mark, he does lots of pressure acts. I think he had a hit out in the game on the weekend or the game before that or something, and it was just he finds ways to get points, and I feel like he hasn't had a score or many scores but lower than 85, which is a pretty good floor.
Oh yeah, look, he's a beast of a player. I think he's a really reasonable option. I'm going to throw another name out there, guys. I want to stick in the midfield for the moment, and this is a guy that I've actually seen people trading out, but I think for the run home, Scott Pendlebury is actually a pretty reasonable option. I think they've got a pretty relatively easy run: Adelaide, Essendon, Port Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Carlton. Averages 111, 115, 104, 104, 102, 118 against them historically. Had a 110 on the weekend, 71 last week, 130 the week before. I know people are trading him out, but I actually like him as a little cheapy 468k option to bring in.
If you can loop him off the bench, I would bring him in, but he really only scores his points when he's injected into the Collingwood midfield when they need a boost. And against North Melbourne's mids were getting on top of Collingwood's midfield brigade, and they had to send Pendlebury in to sort of swing the game. And who knows if they're going to need that swing against these potentially easier teams. We would have said North Melbourne was an easier team, but we saw how that game went on the weekend.
Yeah, look, I think there's definitely some extenuating circumstances in terms of he's not an absolute lock, but if you're competent at loopholing, unlike me, I certainly one that I like the look of.
Well, speaking of that North Melbourne game, there's one real big pod who's been doing real nice for North Melbourne. LDU Luke Davies Uniacke, who is averaging 120 over his last three, 121 over his last five, those last 5 games being 109, 138, 88, 124, 149, and is really stepping up in that midfield. He had a pretty bog average start to the year, outside the 125 in round one. Now missed a game or two in there as well. Is he someone you guys have any interest in at 567k?
Probably a little pricey for me this year, but is the exact type of guy who will start in my side next year and burn me. Shout out to Rick Grimes on the website in the comments, who actually said that LDU seems to be tracking for a 2023 breakout. Heard it here first a little while ago.
Yeah, in 956 teams too, for those of you who love a pod. Speaking of pod, similar amount of sides, and Lekdog, you like this player very, very much. He kicked the match-winning goal on the weekend. It is 520k, very cheap, 132, 154 in his last 2 games. Noah Anderson from the Gold Coast Suns. Damo, Lekdog obviously loves him. What do you think of the up-and-coming mid?
I don't know if I said this when he was drafted, but I actually rated Noah Anderson higher than Matt Rowell in his draft year. And we're just sort of seeing that his outside game is becoming more impactful in his, third year. And now he's a really, really good option. And he's becoming he was a match winner for Gold Coast on the weekend, obviously, but he's becoming a match winner for them just in games. He's becoming that player, that the full package that they sort of needed.
Agreed.
Lekdog.
I agree. I felt the same way when they were drafted. I thought Noah Anderson would be the better Supercoach option for us and the better player in real life. Matt Rowell will have his day because his contested numbers are unmatched for a guy his age, but Noah Anderson is just so goddamn good. Am I trading him into my team? Probably not.
You'd have to be
probably not.
pretty strapped of cash to be going there. But if you're scraping around in like, I've got 520k and I just need somebody, he's probably one of the better options at that price. Chad Warner at 488k probably wouldn't go there, but averaging 114 in his last three, looking very, very good. But there's one superstar of the game who was first picked a couple of years ago, who is very, very cheap. Patrick Dangerfield is $438,000.
Yeah, took the next name out of my mouth, Patch. Had a 114 on the weekend after a 96 in his 2 return games from injury. He had 31 disposals, 18 of them kicks, 5 marks, 2 tackles. He actually had 4 shots on goal, or 4 scoring shots, but no goals. So that score could have been even bigger. Run home, Carlton, Port Adelaide, Bulldogs, St Kilda, Gold Coast, West Coast in that final game is damn tempting as a player who we know can score really well. We've seen score really well in this season, albeit once and very long ago against Essendon. Certainly a player people should consider, in my opinion, if you're strapped for cash. I just wanted to note as well, not a trade-in option, but Dane Zorko is about to be like sub 300k. He's 390k with a break-even of 169. Just noting that as a fact.
Wowee.
It may be helpful next year, as long as he keeps pushing that average down with. Well, I don't want him to be injured, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you want him to be playing and being the sub and being awful, just for vibes, really. Now I've heard it thrown around the traps a little bit. I've heard people suggesting that Clayton Oliver could be a trade out if he misses this week. Obviously, if he plays, you hold on to him. But people are suggesting that, he's 722k. If you turn him into your Callum Millses or, any of these, 650k players, you're still picking up a lot of cash. Do either of you have any thoughts, feelings, opinions on such a move, especially if you're playing for a league and you really want to bring in, someone else, or you've got enough trades to then upgrade your Paddy Cripps to, a Jordan Dawson or a Josh Kelly or somebody of that ilk? Is that something you might look at doing?
I have considered it. I will not execute on it, but it might be the right play if you're desperate to get into finals, or if you're at the upper end of the rankings and you want to Hail Mary, because odds are, even if he plays this week, he plays sore, he scores like a 90 or an 80, whatever it is. Break even's 120 right now. His price starts to dip a little bit. It's not the end of the world stuff, but there is an opportunity here. I mean, with DPP, I've looked at trading him to Max Gawn and upgrading a Paddy Cripps to a what's his name from Sydney, the player we took, Callum Mills. Like, I've looked at doing that because it's tempting, but ultimately for me, the play is probably to hold him. Damo, do you have the testicular fortitude to move a guy like Clayton Oliver?
If I had the trades, I think I would seriously consider it. But at the moment, it's just not viable for me, especially considering I've got all these potential injury clouds over people who could miss much longer. And I mean, this week I'm going to be forced to cover him by switching a Jack Sinclair into my midfield and putting a D'Ambrosio on my field. But if I had the trades available, I probably would consider it, or I'd potentially try and bring in someone that could cover him and then become a loop option later in the year. But this, I guess you call it a Bruin maneuver that they were talking about, and it's something that people could definitely consider if they were playing for league. But it becomes quite tricky because people will want him back when he comes back, and at 700 plus K, he didn't miss any game time with this injury. So his break even isn't out of this world that he can't reach it when he returns. So he's just going to get more and more expensive, and getting him back in because you want him on the run home is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, if you trade him, you're not getting him back, and if you trade him, I think you're gonna struggle in the end. I'm just looking now. I could turn him and Cripps into Laird and Took Miller and have $0 left in the bank. So I'm taking that as a sign.
That is a sign, if ever I've seen one.
All right, let's jump into a different line, gentlemen. Let's just have a quick look at the rucks. No one's probably doing any moves in the rucks, but if you have a Nank and he misses, your options are like a Todd Goldstein, a Max Gawn, a Riley O'Brien, or potentially maybe a Rowan Marshall, who we'll touch on in a bit, but has now gained forward eligibility.
Marshall hasn't been stifled as much with Paddy Ryder in the team in these last few games, so he's definitely an option that you could use moving forward. And I mean, you probably only get maybe a 95 average on the run home, but given the way the rucks have been, you would take a 95 average if it took you home.
That's true. That is true.
I like my rucks like I like my country roads, taking me home.
But yeah, I think if you have a Nank, you're already adventurous, so that's certainly an option. And of course, Max Gawn as an upgrade target.
You could make some cash off Nank and go down to an OMAC. Big Oscar McInerney scored the 115 on the weekend. Looked all right there. Up against Sammy Draper and Tommy Phillips. So there's potential there if you're feeling dicey, but yeah, there's not a lot unless you've got some cash to turn him around and upgrade him a little bit.
Yeah, it's not the most sexy position to talk about this week. The old rucks.
Would Lekdog, Peter Wright, you've got him in a keeper league. Would you? Am I just being blinded by the right? 115, 105, 87, 118 in his last four. I'm selectively ignoring the three before that, which were 40, 45, and 49.
A lot has to go right for him to score well. Like, it has to be perfect conditions.
Get it? It has to go right.
He does have 3 games at Marvel, which in his run home, he tends to score reasonably well at Marvel because there's no wind or sun or rain, or there's no birds flying around to distract him. Would you bring him into the ruck line? Nah. Would you consider him as a forward? You could consider him. Cassie, my partner, has him in her team, and she was like in the top 0.3% of the round. So, there is upside to it, but it's a bold strategy, Cotton, and he's scoring from kicking goals more so than anything else, or kicking goals and taking marks. It's not like he's in the ruck.
Goals he's kicking. That is true. He's not getting any ruck minutes, so that's not ideal. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that little teaser out there.
And I'm throwing it back in your goddamn face. All right, let's
my secret shame.
Damo, let's move into the forward line and take a look at some options for the people playing at home. A guy that I like is Todd Goldstein, who is in my team. Now, played really badly last week, but against Collingwood was both good around the grounds in the ruck, but also presented well as a forward and kicked a couple of goals, scored 120 points. He'll cost you $518,900. Now, part of the reason, Damo, he's flagged in my my algo for guys I like on the run home is that historically, obviously, he's very good against everyone. So averages 100 against Richmond, 104, 105 against Hawthorn, 106 against Essendon, 92 against Sydney, 108 against Adelaide, and 108 against Gold Coast. Is he a legitimate option, or are they going to mess with us down at North?
Well, they don't know how long Tristan Sherry is going to be out for, and I doubt Callum Coleman-Jones is going to take that number one mantle away from Goldstein anytime soon, especially after his performance on the weekend, which was not that great. So I think Goldstein's going to be a pretty good option on the run home. I think he's going to take his fair share of ruck contests. And to be honest, he's probably the top option if you don't have him and you need to get rid of someone like a Toby Nankervis.
May I posit to you, Timmy Taranto scored 109 on the weekend, is $441,100, averaging 93 for the year. Hasn't been great since he came back from injury. Well, since he came back from injury, he's had the 56 in his first game back, then 111 and 109, obviously nursing him into that first game back. Is he's an option? I'm going to say he's an option. He's an option.
Are they going to play him in the midfield and try and win games?
He's playing for his next contract.
Well, true, Damo, but he's guaranteed a contract at how many clubs are based in Melbourne? Every single one of them will throw.
I think there will be clubs outside of Melbourne that will throw their hat into the ring as well.
That's true. I'm just assuming he's from Melbourne because he's a GWS player, and GWS players always leave and come to Melbourne.
Carlton specifically.
Carlton and Essendon specifically, yeah.
Look, we'd take him. We'd both take him. He's very good, and which is why I bring him up as an option. I think surely they play him through at least fair chunks through the midfield, and at that price, he's pretty much too good to pass up if you're able to swing Tim English into your ruck line to cover a Nank, or if you've got someone you want to upgrade, or I really like him, and I think he's quite good.
I just think he's neat.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Patch, you and I are big fans of this guy. Dylan Moore was run through the midfield in the Hawthorn game on Sunday. He's still averaging 90-ish and is having some really, really good games on this run home and seems to be providing them a bit of a spark up forward and in the midfield now. And if you need a point of difference on the run home, he is someone who you could have a really good look at.
Averaging 102 in his last 5, and God love him, he's just exceptional. Had a bit of a dip in form through the middle of the year, but just can just run all day. Just keeps running and running and running. 112, 90, 135 in his last 3. Has West Coast and North in his next 2 games as well. So, holy dooly, I say. Holy dooly.
I like it. If no one has another forward, I think we should move into defence and begin to wrap this up before taking a look at all of the players who got new DPP statuses. Defence, Patch.
Hello.
This pains me because I've traded him out, and it pains you because you just traded him out. But Jordan Ridley's actually a reasonable.
No,
he's actually a reasonable option.
No, go away.
He likes his upcoming opponents. Is all I'll say.
I'm just going to take the headphones off for a minute. I'm going to let you discuss him for about 45 seconds, and then I'll be back.
Damo, I'm not telling people to trade him in, but he seems to be kind of back to being good. What's your vibe?
I feel like I manifested this good run because I got sick of him and I moved him on. This probably started my run of bad injuries that took my trades away from me. Like I was frustrated by those 83s and those 72s and those.
So bad.
and those, and I know, and technically I shouldn't be mad about a 91, but I was mad about a 91, and I had to move him on for my own sanity. And now I've lost my trades because my team's all falling over, and he's good again because I don't know. Fuck you, Damo, and I'm just as mad as Patch.
I can recommend knocking your head against the wall a couple of times because I did it, and oh boy, did my one brain cell shut up for a minute. So, moving right along, Lekdog. Moving right along. Danny Rioli, because I'm going to cause you pain now. He's had 2 very good scores in a row. We spoke about him last week, so I'm not going to go into him too much. 127, 129, looking really, really good off that half-back flank for the Tigers. Handy DPP, 484k. I think he's a good option.
He's an interesting one, right? We kind of... him being good has correlated with Short being stuck in the midfield and not being very good, which is interesting. And yes, I did trade Daniel Rioli out of my team.
Can I throw 4 names at you? And
yeah,
I want
a lot of names.
And I want you guys to say yes or no to these 4 names. Braden Maynard, 484k. Averaging 107 over his last 3, 96 over his last 5.
I like Maynard, so I'll say yay.
I think you can do better at that price. So no, I'd rather Rioli.
Tom Atkins, 477k. Recently got midfield eligibility added to him. Averaging 105 over his last 3 and 99 over his last 5.
I will say no, just because I'm not totally sure how permanent this midfield move is, but I have been enjoying him, watching him play in that position.
He looks very dashing with that moustache and was the best player in the collared jumpers on the weekend. So on vibes alone, it's a yes from me.
Jordan Clark, averaging 103 over his last 3 and 90.8 over his last 5.
How much is young Jordan Clark?
481k. Also worth noting, he has only had 3 scores under 80 points for the year.
Yeah, that's done it for me, yes.
Yeah, I like him.
And the last name, which is the most expensive of them all, Nick Hind at 492k, averaging 102 over his last 5 and 3, which means he's been consistent.
He's been good since basically the bye, or just before the week before the bye. He's been really solid. Wonder if that's got to be the Redmond factor. They got to be working together. I don't have any proof of that, but that's got to be it.
I mean, it's also the fact that, the last 2 weeks especially, Essendon has played football that looks half decent. Like we've been attacking, we've been running, we've been looking for, obviously Redmond missed on the weekend, but we've been looking for Hind, for Redmond, for D'Ambrosio. They've been using these good footballers off halfback. And it's resulted in some good scoring. Like you'll get bad scores with Nick Hind. You got 117, 88, 115, 62, 118, 128 in those last 5, which comes out to the 102 average. But, there'll be weeks where he gets targeted. There'll be weeks where he's not used. There's, if you're going for league, he could well burn you in a final. He's good. He's been good. He will continue to do that. He's either going to score 80 or 110, and there's very little in between. I would rather Mason Redmond if you've got the cash.
All right, gentlemen, I think we need to wrap this one up. The last thing we'll do is we'll just read through the new DPPs just for completionist sake. Matty Cottrell from a mid to a mid forward. Archie Perkins forward to a mid forward. Tom Atkins, the man we just spoke about, defence to defence mid, so a bit of flexibility there if you like Damo's suggestion. Harry Himmelberg, forward defence. Liam Shields, mid forward. Will Day, defence mid. Jeremy Finlayson, forward ruck. Lol. Rowan Marshall, ruck forward. Bailey Williams, defence mid. And Brady Hoff, that's the correct way to pronounce his name, defence mid, which I would have loved to know before bloody moving him on. Anyway, that's okay.
It's fine. It's fine. This is all fine.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you for joining me on this wonderful podcast brought to you by Manscaped. Use code JOCK, JOCK, for 20% off and free shipping. That's code JOCK, JOCK. Damo, what do we have to look forward from you?
Guest is still pending, but the Jock mailbag will be out on Wednesday night.
Party bloody time. Get your questions in for that. Patch, what's coming on for you?
A lot of crying in the corner, eating a bit of chocolate, maybe some rosé.
Fair. I appreciate it. I like all of those things.
Yes, I will be, bemoaning my stupidity and asking everyone I know if they've got a spare trade I can use. And they will tell me to go away even louder than they usually do.
And nothing going on for me. Just happiness. Just happiness at Carlton winning a game again, which is good. Go Blues.
Catch it, community.